Square Squad. This is your girl, Prophetess Ree. I am back with another episode of the Pretty and Powerful podcast. First and foremost, as I always do, I just want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you to the loyal listeners and the subscribers and those of you who share the podcast faithfully every week. I really, really love you and appreciate you. And those of you who are new to the podcast, welcome, girl, welcome. I pray that something that was said today is going to bless you and also encourage you to continue on your path of being pretty and powerful. Today's topic is one that I talk about often with those that I pastor and those that I mentor, and that is mom guilt. So we entitled today's topic, Am I a Bad Mom? Because I don't know about you, but I ask myself that all the time, especially when my first child was young. Man, I always felt like I wasn't being the best mom and I was making mistakes and oh Lord, I'm gonna ruin my child for life. She's gonna grow up and hate me. And I think that is a lot of our fear and our worry as we grow as mothers. And so I have another pretty and powerful woman of God here to pour into you and to talk to you and to help mentor you in the area of motherhood. So P Square Squad, I want you to give a big hey girl, hey to Lady Tiff, Pastor Tiffany Kirkwood, aka Lady Tiff, serves alongside her husband, Pastor Marvin Kirkwood, as pastors of Contagious Life Church in Kansas City, Missouri. And so she is also the founder of a women's empowerment network called Sister to Sister. So I thought she would be a great person, a wonderful woman of God to bring on to help encourage you in the area of motherhood. So welcome to the podcast, Lady Tiff.
Thank you for having me, Prophetess Ree. Absolutely love you and your husband and your ministry that you are doing. I'm so grateful to be a part of the Pretty and Powerful podcast on today. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. I mean, we record at different times, y'all, so y'all have to understand it's morning time for us. But yes, we love you all too. We love the Kirkwoods and love what you all are doing in Missouri. And so I thank you for taking out the time to be on this podcast with me. I've done a short intro, but please let our viewers and our listeners know a little bit more about you in particular.
Okay. Definitely. I am from Kansas City, been married to my husband for 18 years, Pastor Marvin. We have 3 children. Hezekiah, she's 17, so she's a senior in high school. We have Josiah, and he's a freshman in high school. He's 14. And then we have Micah, who's our youngest, and she's in middle school. So I love being a mom, this mom thing, like I do it like wholeheartedly. A little bit more about me. I have been in ministry forever. I feel like, my husband always tells people I grew up on the pews, but like I grew up in the church. Absolutely love the Lord. I met my husband when we were about 16. We started dating when we were 16, and so we've been together all this time or whatever. However, although I was in the church, I wasn't a preacher or anything like that, but I knew the Lord very young. And so I met him when I was 16. And at 16, we started dating or whatever, ended up getting married at 22. And by that time, he was already called into ministry. So he became youth pastor. So we served as youth pastors for 8 to 10 years, and one church, basically. We were definitely, cheering the church on. And so I've always found a love for children because that's how I grew up, and being young in ministry as youth pastor. So helping him alongside him. So ministry is nothing new to me, but just working with kids is pretty much all I know. And so then I was like, growing up, I was like, oh, I want to be a mommy. Like I couldn't wait to be a mom as I was growing up. So yeah.
Y'all's story is so similar to me and Cliff's. We met when we were young in elementary school and started dating juniors in high school and got married at 21. So it's a very similar story. Yep. And so I think that's wonderful. And I always love when I hear women say, I was looking forward to being a mom and I was excited about being a mom, because I think that is such it's a gift. It really is a gift, and it's difficult to do, but it is very much a gift. And my heart really goes out to those who desire to be moms and are having a hard time conceiving. I'm always prayerful for those women and encouraging them, because I understand for a lot of us that is one of the big parts of our life. One of our major aspirations was becoming a mom. How do you feel that being a mom has impacted your life?
Oh, being a mom has impacted my life tremendously. Like I said, I always knew I wanted to be a mom. Like when I was in college, me and my husband were talking. I'm like, I already knew my first baby's name was going to be Hezekiah, boy or girl. I already knew that's what it was going to be. So I always knew I wanted to be a mom, but it has impacted me, taught me so many life lessons. I feel like all the things that I've learned parenting my kiddos has helped me with my career, as far as speaking up. And I'm teaching my kids, you have to speak up, but then at the same time, I got to speak up. Like, you tell people what you want. You tell people how to treat you. You let people know how to treat you, even in corporate world. And so just things like it has impacted my life tremendously. I absolutely love it. It's near and dear to my heart, just family in general. So
yeah, I think that's so good what you said. When you become a parent, you really are challenged to be a better version of yourself, because you're telling your children all of these things and you're trying to shape them into these young adults that you want them to become. But then you start to realize I have to embody that.
Absolutely.
I can't raise them in a do as I say, but not as I do type of mentality, where I'm saying, yeah, stand up for yourself and, be disciplined and all of that. And then they looking at me like, really, mama? Like,
right.
You're not doing none of that. And they'll call you out too.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. My son is notorious for that. And I'll be like, okay, he's really big on working out. And so I be trying to work out and be faithful. He was like, Mom, you didn't work out today. I'm like, I know. Like, thanks for the reminder. Kids definitely, they are some truth tellers. I love it.
Yes. I was telling I was saying I had to drink more water and was trying to increase my water intake. And I said, I know who my accountability is. My son, he's going to remind me. So say, Mom, you haven't been drinking your water. Your jug is still in the refrigerator.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it. It is hilarious. Do you feel that your career choices were impacted by motherhood at all?
I'll say no. And yes, I'll say both, because growing up, I always knew that I was that type of mom. I wanted to always be available for my kids, as far as if they're having a sporting event or if they had a field trip or something for school. I wanted to be that mom. I wanted to be the room parent and stuff. So I was like, I had to make sure that I had a job. My career allowed me to do those things. So I needed to be there. I need to be present in my kids' life during the daytime. Even though I have a career, even though I wanted to be at work, I also need to be present in my kids' activities or whatever. So I knew that. I was like, okay, I'm not working weekends. I'm not working holidays. Like, I already knew that's the way it was going to be starting out, even when I had a career. And praise God that I've always been able to do those things with my career. So it's worked out well.
Yeah, I agree. In the beginning, before having kids, I had all of these aspirations, but once I had my oldest, Danielle, and you just really see how much you love them and how much they need you and how much you want to be there for those moments, I started to kind of change the direction I was headed in, because I just did not want to be an absentee mom where I was the nanny or the daycare was seeing all of the moments. That was always a struggle when we talk about mom guilt is, yes, I can't be there for every little thing, but if there's a way that I can adjust my goals and my aspirations to where I can have some kind of balance, and it's not just all my career, or it's just all my kids, but I can still have the fulfillment of building my career, but the fulfillment also of being present with my kids, that was important to me. And so, yeah, I definitely think any person who aspires and really wants to be engaged with their children, your career choices are going to be impacted, you know. And I've even talked to some women who are very career driven, and they just don't realize how much they're going to change after they have a child. You know, they're no, you know, excuse me, I'm going to put them with the nanny. I'm going to, you know, do this and do that. I'll be all right. And then you see that face, honey, it's like over. It is over.
I've been so intentional with my job, letting them know, like, hey, if they have an award ceremony or something, if I can make it, I want to be there. So, I mean, I'll take a lunch here, and I'll come back to work, or I'll work from home for the day or something like this, so I can make those specific adjustments to be with my kid. And I kind of said that starting out, so they knew what to expect from me. So, I mean, I'm definitely still career driven, but being that mom, you know, kids need their mom.
Yes, they do. And I mean, some women too, and I love how you said, I had those requests at the beginning, you know, I let them know up front, this is important to me. But I feel like some women, they may even battle with feeling like the job is going to think they have to make certain I guess adjustments for them because they're a woman or because they're a mom. What advice would you give to that woman who says, well, I love my career and I don't want them to think that I am going to be difficult because I'm a mom, or that they have to make certain adjustments for me because I'm a mom, and they're afraid to make those requests?
Right. Okay. See, I work in construction industry, so it's male dominated, right? And so you're going to have male, and you know, you're going to have the women who want to be with their kids. However, the good thing about it is men want to be with their children too. And a lot of times companies don't realize that men want to be just as active in their kids' role. So that's why I was, you know, made sure I was with a company, and my career allowed me to do these things, because I would encourage the women that you have to speak up, and like, it's okay to, you know, step away from your job to be there with your children. You know, your kids need to see their parents cheering them on and nurturing them outside of the home too, right? And so, like, I'll go to basketball games and football games, and I'm like, some of these parents never are able to attend, you know, so I'm there cheering on all the kids, because maybe their job won't let them off, or maybe they're just not into sports or something like that. But, you know, kids like to see someone pushing them. And so as a parent, you know, as a mother, you want to be there for your children as much as you can, you know, as much as your career or job allows, you know, just go for it as much as you can. And it's okay. The job is always going to be there. You know, your kids, they move out sometimes.
Right. That's so true. That's so true. And I love that you said men want to be with their kids too. I think we're coming into a time where men are actually wanting to be more present. It's not so much that mentality, that old school mentality of woman takes care of the home, man works, and man comes home and ignores his kids. You know, there are more and more fathers who didn't have fathers, you know, and even who did, that say, I want to be present in my child's life. And they are also putting in those requests to be able to leave for things or take a certain day off. So it's no longer just about women feeling like we have to risk our job to be moms, but hopefully more and more companies are becoming family friendly, to where they're conscious of the fact that we got kids, y'all, like we can't be here all day. So I think that's a great point. And I'm hoping that more women are looking for companies that are more family oriented. What's something about motherhood that you wish someone had warned you, like before you became a mother, like you're going to experience this or that?
That you're not going to always get it right. You're going to jack up, you know. Although it's peaches and creams at first or whatever, you get tired, you get frustrated. Kids can be annoying, right? Like they get on that, you know, that good nerve or whatever, things like that. And you're gonna mess up. You're gonna make mistakes. And sometimes, you know, you're growing up with my first kid, I was reading books, you know, what to expect when expecting things like that. And so I was like, I had it all straight out. I had it laid out what we was gonna do, how we was gonna do it. But things change, you know, it doesn't always line up exactly that way. And so you have to be able to make the adjustments. And so I wish somebody would have told me, like, as much as you read those books, as much as you read those magazines, it doesn't always line out that way, you know, so you have to be prepared to make those necessary adjustments. And just
Yes.
know that it's okay to make mistakes, you know, because it
Mm-hmm.
happens. Nobody is perfect. And so that's just the main thing, like make the adjustments when necessary, because it's not like it's no cookie cutter way to be a mom, to be a certain mom that you want to be. I know it looks good on TV.
Right.
You see everyone's highlight reels, but that's not reality. No, the reality is you're gonna deal with some tough stuff as parents.
Yeah. So good. That is so good, Lady Tiff, because I was the same way. You know, you have, and then that first child, you have so many gadgets and extra stuff. Like trying to pack up this child just to run to the store or go somewhere is a whole suitcase of all of these little things and sanitizers and sanitation bottle sanitizers and I mean, just over the top because we just really want to be prepared and to do the best. And it's so funny when you've had multiple kids and you see that first time mom who is, you know, carrying all this stuff and they have all this stuff and you just sit there like, bless her heart.
Right. Like I've been there. I know what you're going through. Like
and they're like, no, don't, no, I have to sanitize this first. You have to shake it. Don't, you know, stir it. Don't shake it. Shake the bottle because the studies show, you know, it's
right.
Like, okay.
by the third one, I'm like, here, take it. Right. Have at it. Right. So
just rinse the passy out. Just they'll be all right.
Right, they'll be fine. They're still alive, right?
Yes. I mean, you really think that you have control and can map your child's life out. And you don't even take into consideration the different personalities each child is going to have.
Yep.
And so as you raise one and you have your next one, you can't even do things exactly the same for that child because that child's temperament may be totally different and it may be an entirely new experience because you know my first child she as a baby slept pretty well. I got her on a sleep schedule pretty good, but my son had colic.
Oh, okay.
So it was woo-wee. Those first 3 months were rough. And him crying and seeing him gassing and pain and all of that. So it was a totally different experience. Even though I had been through it once, the second time felt like I was a first-time mom all over again. Because right. his personality and what he went through was different. So yeah, I wish somebody would have told me. And even if they did, I probably wouldn't have listened no way.
But it's so different. Even as they get older, you have to, the way you nurture them, or the way you discipline your children is different. I have 3 children. I have to discipline them all, you know, differently because my oldest one, I can be tough on her. I can say, now my son, I can't really raise my voice too much at him. You know, he doesn't take well to that or whatever. Mm-hmm. He'll shut down or whatever. So, you know, my youngest one, you know, I have to coddle her a lot, you know, so even as they get older, it's so different. Like I said earlier, there's no cookie cutter way to discipline. There's no cookie cutter way to nurture them because they're all different. They all expect different. And they always take different to how you treat them and things like that. So.
Yes, that's so true. That's so true. And we have girl, boy, girl too.
Okay.
And that's so true. Like my youngest, her temperament's just like mine. She's really obedient, doesn't take a lot of disciplining. She just does. She's just really easy. Yeah. And my son, he's a strong-willed person, but like you said, you really get firm with him. He will cry, and he's very sensitive. Even though he puts on this tough front, he's very sensitive.
Yeah.
And my oldest, she was the one we kind of were hard on because she was the first child, and we really have to keep a tight leash on her. Yeah. But yeah, you have to do it differently with each child. What would you say was some of your worst mom guilt moments where it was just like, oh, I feel so horrible. What did I do? I'm horrible mom.
One that sticks out the most was a couple years ago. My youngest, she had a basketball game, and all my kids, they play sports, and so they're super active. Well, because they have ministry, you know, I try not to miss their games, but if she had a game like right during church, I'm like, okay, so I can't make it. And so my dad took her to the game and she sprained her ankle. And I just felt terrible. Like, oh my gosh, you know, you have your first big hurt, and I'm not there. And my dad, you know, he's carrying her on his back and stuff. And so he brings her to us, and, you know, she's calling me like, Mom, this happened, you know, and I just felt so terrible because I couldn't be present. Yeah. You know, and I think as parents, you know, we always try to be present. We always try to be there and catch them when they fall and things like that. And that just hurt me to the core. But I was able to get over it. I was able to get through it, of course, because I reminded her, and she reminded me like, Mom, it's okay, because you're normally always there. And I'm like, I know, you know, so it was okay. But that really stuck with me. Like, to this day, I still think, like, oh my gosh, I missed it. Like, you know, you just never know when things like that are going to happen. And so as a parent, you know, you always try to be present.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I could totally see how that would just break your heart, because as a mom, we want to be there, especially when they hurt themselves. We're thinking, I know they're saying, I wish my mom was here, you know. Right. Yes,
I couldn't do nothing different than what my dad did.
Like, exactly. You know, exactly. We act like, honey, like we're the EMT. I'm gonna rip that thing out. I
got you. Yes.
Exactly. When my oldest was 4, we were living in Houston, and in her daycare, they were having a Christmas recital, and she was working so hard, and she had the dance down, and the teachers were bragging about how great she had done, and she knew the songs, and my parents came down to Houston to go to the recital. I got her all dressed up, got her new dress, everything, and we started driving to the place, and we get there, and we're like, wait, it's not here. I realized that the recital location, I had it mixed up. And I didn't know how to get to the correct address. So we ended up missing the entire thing. Oh. And I was like, no, like, she was so excited to perform, and my parents drove down to Houston to see it. And I just felt like the worst mom ever. To this day, I still just like, why did I get it? You know, and we ended up, you know, changing her clothes and just taking her to Chuck E. Cheese. And she had a good old time. She got over it quick, but I didn't get over it quick. I felt like that was one of her first real performances, and she's my first child. So this was a big deal to me too, and I was excited to see her, and I just felt like, man, how could I mix up the addresses? I feel like such a bad mom. All the teachers are probably looking around thinking, where is Danielle? Because she had like I think a part of to sing, and I just felt so horrible. But I just had a lot going on during that time, and somehow I missed that, you know, that it was going to be at a different location. And it's times like that, especially as moms, oftentimes we manage, you know, the kids' lives. We kind of keep track of the schedule, the activities, and the locations, and doctor's appointments, and, you know, all of that. I just feel like that's a grace that women have to be able to manage the household, even though we have jobs, you know, that's just something we flow into. And so when that stuff falls through the cracks, man,
everybody's looking at us, right? Like, well, how you mess this up?
Right. I'm like, man, I'm human, okay? Yes. So let that be a note to the moms listening. You know, you are not a computer. Absolutely. You are not a computer, and just make sure you write stuff down, and you have a to-do list, or you have a calendar that you record stuff on, because you're not a computer. You're human. You're going to forget. You will misplace stuff. You will forget to put it on the schedule. Things happen, and you just have to know how to get past that and not allow it to make you tear yourself down and really damage yourself. How did you kind of overcome that guilt, even in that pain, when you made those mistakes as a mom?
What I would do was seek the Lord, pray about everything that was concerning my children, definitely, and then talk it out. Just like just like we extend grace to everyone else, like I needed grace extended to me, because I can't always be present. I'm not always going to get it right, and so allowing that grace factor to be there and be like, it's okay. Like, I'm going to mess some stuff up sometimes. Like, I'm not always I'm going to miss an appointment. I'm gonna have it on. I'm gonna send you to the orthodontist, but it's gonna be on the wrong day, right? It's gonna happen, like, or the wrong time. It's, hey. And so I always remind my family, I'm like, okay, extend us some grace, extend your mom some grace. I messed this one up, but I'm doing my best. And so I always talk it out. Mm-hmm. And I remind my children, and I remind my husband, like, hey, I extend you guys grace. You guys have to extend me some grace because I don't always get it right. So.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that's advice I give to the women in my church. Like, you have to create a household of grace. Mm-hmm. Because if we're graceless parents, our children will be graceless towards us. Mm-hmm. And so being honest with them about the fact that they're human and being patient with them and giving them grace and not being harsh parents also teaches them and models to them how to give grace to other people and grace to us when we mess up as parents or when we fall short or when we make a mistake. We have this awareness in our household that we're all human. We can ask for forgiveness. We can apologize and know that we're going to receive forgiveness and we're going to be extended grace by God. And we have to also model that with each other so that no one feels like a failure and no one feels that they're being emotionally beat up or talked down to because they made a mistake. And I think if we as parents can model that to our kids and say, hey, I make mistakes too, it's going to help them bounce back from their mistakes. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to want to quit every time they mess up or feel like a failure or have all of these insecurity issues because we're modeling to them, look, I mess up. I'm still here. Look at God. So I love that you say that, you talk it out. And that's another thing, moms, talk to your kids. Do you feel that you and your kids have a very open communication?
Yes. I always tell my kids, I'd rather you talk to me about your issues, whatever you're dealing with, your happy moments, your good moments, your sad moments, than rather you talk to someone outside of the home, because I want you to feel this is a safe place. Like, you are to be able to talk to me about anything. Now, you might not like my response. You might not like my answer to your question or whatever. However, I'm going to give you the best answer that I know how to give to you or whatever. And so I tell my kids all the time, I'm never going to hurt you. I'm only going to help you, right? Yes. And so you have to remember that when I'm talking to them about their issues or whatever they're dealing with, my intentions are never to hurt you. It's always to help you and to make you be better. And so we all can be better. But if I don't give you the real answer, if I don't tell you the real, then you're going to go out and thinking it's okay to do it your way and then jack it up, whatever. But also letting them know that you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to get it right all the time. However, you have to be able to be open enough to talk to your parents about it, because you can't share on social media. You can't share with your friends because they're going to use it against you, right? Your mama, I got it right here. You tell me I'm going to hold it right here. We're going to walk through it and then we'll be okay. I said, but once you blast it on social media, you share a friend, they tell a friend, and then it's out there and it's not even big as you made it seem initially, right? And so just make sure that you are sharing with your parents, with your mom, because we can hold it much more than your friends or social media will, right?
Oh, that's such great words of wisdom. Ladies, I hope you are taking note of this. Absolutely. I love that you said, I tell my kids, I'm never going to hurt you. My intention is never to hurt you. It's always to help you. And that is the truth. And we know when they enter into those teenage years, they really feel like, oh, you're trying to take my fun and you're trying to block and not let me be me. But they really don't understand what you're trying to protect them from. And I had that conversation with my oldest not long ago. And she started to see certain things happen and why I was telling her she couldn't do it. And that now she's like, it's connecting. Okay, Mom, you really do have my best interests at heart. You really aren't just trying to be mean or not allow me to do certain things, but you really do want to protect me. And you have to start that with your kids at a young age. I'm always trying to encourage people to communicate with your children, even when they don't talk well. Talk to them. let them talk. My oldest, at dinner time when she was 2, she would eat and then she would sit on the table and just start talking. Half of what she said we could not understand,
Right.
but we would sit there attentively and say, yeah, the parts that we caught, we would say, what? And then he hit the other kid. Wow. You know, she knew from a young age that we would listen to her.
Yes.
And now that it really, really matters and she's a teenager, she feels comfortable talking because we set that tone. We would have dinner together when we could and talk as a family. So I encourage you, if you're not talking to your kids, those of you who are listening, if it makes you uncomfortable, you really have to deal with your personal issues about communication so that you can create a household where people can openly communicate and you can know what your kids are going through. Because if you don't talk, they won't talk. It can't just be one way. Can't just be them telling you everything, but you're not giving them wisdom or you're not talking to them about some of your experiences. It really has to be a relationship of communication. So I love that.
It does. Like some of the, so I think as a parents, we have to do more than just say, how was your day at school, or what was your day like, or something. You need to ask provoking questions so that they'll respond. Or who did you sit with at lunch today? What did you eat? You know, you have to be specific about those things, because if not, kids, you know, they're ready to get to their room. They're ready to play their games or get on their phones or anything.
No problem.
We
got kids. We're talking about motherhood, right?
Right. Sorry. No, you have to do what you can to, you know, just make those. I don't lost my train of thought. No, talk to your kids and make sure they're answering your questions that are provoking and are not there to just give them, because they'll give you the short answer if you let them. Right.
Right.
So you're answering, asking them specific questions. Sorry about that.
Yes, I totally agree with that, because we'll say, well, we can't give them yes or no closed-ended questions. You have to really pull the detail out and also train them that you are going to be safe for them to express themselves, and you're not going to just come at them, you know, judging them or being mean or being harsh. And that's something that, you know, we're raised with different types of communication at home. And so some habits we have to break, and we have to be honest with ourselves as parents and say, that wasn't the most effective thing that I grew up in. So let me adjust for my kids, and just create that open communication, make it a normal thing in your household. So I love that advice also. How do you feel that a woman's insecurities impact her parenting style?
There can be huge, because if I'm insecure as far as speaking up in public places, or I'm out somewhere, or my insecurities could be, I don't like to be in big groups or things like that. If I show that to my children, they could go ahead and they're gonna display those things in themselves. And so I don't necessarily love public speaking, and so if I show my kids that I'm insecure about those things, or I'm insecure about voicing my opinion, then that same thing I struggle with will eventually get on them. And so I try to be, as much as I encourage them, you guys speak up and do what you're supposed to do and sit in the front of the class. But I sat in the back of the class, right? My insecurity is part of that, where I didn't want to be, you know, in the front of the class. I didn't want to be always raising my hand or, you know, just speaking up in general. And so my insecurities eventually rub off to my kids if I'm not careful, right? And so you just have to be careful where you draw the line on those insecurities, because if not, it'll hurt your children in the long run. But like, I'm used to my mom not speaking up. I'm used to my mom not necessarily insecure, but going off on the lady at the restaurant, right? Because I got my order wrong, things like that. Kids pick up on that stuff. And so, well, Mama, you did that, or that's the way you responded to that. And so I just really try to be intentional about letting my kids know, you know, just because you can speak up for yourself, you know, you don't have to shell back or hide who you are because someone else does not appreciate, you know, the gift that you have. So.
Yeah, that's so true. I've even noticed that sometimes parents can, you know, put those issues or those insecurities in their child and say that that's their child's personality. Like if the parent is really shy, they may try to say that their child is shy, or the child may not want to do something. They say, oh, they're just shy. I'm like, maybe they're not. You shouldn't try to mold them in the way that you are, or try to make them a certain way because you deal with that certain thing. And I think that sometimes you want to have a bond with that child through your brokenness. Mm-hmm. And so we don't want to give our children that brokenness. We want to heal so that they don't have to deal with it, rather than trying to impose our struggles and our insecurities on our child and say, oh, they just like me. No, they're not. And if that's a bad, quality, you shouldn't want that.
Exactly.
You should want them to be better than you, rather than trying to bond with them through your brokenness. That's an unhealthy practice I see a lot. And I, even as a parent, I've had to be very intentional about making sure I change certain things, or I stopped my child from doing something that I dealt with. Like if you're not intentional in breaking a curse, it's going to keep going. You can't just expect it to stop because your child is a new generation. You have to really intentionally break that generational curse.
Right. I definitely agree with that, because if not, it'll go on and on and on. Like I don't want to, I tell my kids, I don't want you to have to fight the demons I had to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And demons I had to fight growing up. We're going to deal with that now.
Right.
So absolutely.
Absolutely. We're not going to keep that going. I'm going to sever it right now.
Right.
What would you say are some mom do's and don'ts? If you had a room full of new moms and young moms here, like, what would you say? Girl, don't do that. Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
For the do's, I would say make sure your kids have a safe place. They need to be able to feel safe talking to you. They need to vent with you, and not on social media and things like that. Parents, it's okay to apologize to your children. I think in our culture, we do not apologize. As parents in general, I'll say that we don't apologize to our children, but that's not right, because you expect them to apologize, but you're not apologizing. And we, like I've said before, we don't always get it right. We mess up, we jack up some stuff, right? As
yes.
Parents, as mothers, we jack up some stuff. So, definitely apologize and just be your children's biggest cheerleader, because if you don't, I promise you the world will. The world is going to cheer them on in areas that you don't want them to be in, right? And so you always have to be mindful that you are your child's biggest cheerleader. I want you to hear my voice all the time. I don't want you to hear the voice of Cardi B or whoever you love so much. You love their music or whatever, but you want to hear affirmations from your parents. You want to hear those things. Kids want to hear those things, even though they may be ignoring you. They may act like they don't want to hear it, but they want to hear it. For our as don'ts, I would say don't hide negative things. Like sometimes we try to shelter our kids from things that we don't want them to see, or we don't want them to know. But you don't want to hide everything that's negative, because they'll leave your home thinking that everything is okay. This is how it is. In reality, that's not reality. That's not life, right?
Yes.
You are going to come up with some negative stuff, and they're not going to know how to deal with it because you've always hidden them from it. So be real with your children as far as negative things that go along in the world, in our life, because they're gonna go outside of your home and they're going to experience something. So be truthful.
Oh, I love that, because sometimes we hide stuff because we think we're protecting them, but you really keep them from learning to how to handle it and equipping them with how to handle reality. I remember there was a situation with someone who they didn't know how to handle conflict because they never saw any conflict in their home handled in a healthy way. Their parents will cover everything. And so what their parents didn't realize is, with you trying to hide all types of conflict from them, what you failed to do was teach them how to handle conflict in a healthy manner. And so they live their life always avoiding all conflict because they're like, I've never seen anybody solve conflict. They were
Mm-hmm.
always running away from it. Or it didn't exist in my house. It's like, yes, it did. Your
Right.
parents just didn't show you. They were in the back whisper cursing each other.
Uh-huh.
And so when we shelter them too much, we leave them really, really vulnerable as they go out into the world, and they don't know how to handle things in a healthy manner. And oh my gosh, that part about apologizing, that's something I had to grow into as a parent. Yeah, like it was, and that's all pride. It's pride.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's pride and feeling like you as a parent can do no wrong, or they don't need my apology. But man, apologizing to people is healing. It is healing for you, and it is healing for them. And when you apologize to the child, it's healing for them. A lot of us as adults have baggage because we didn't receive apologies.
Come on, listen. In our culture, I'm trying. I don't know if I remember my parents apologizing, right? I don't quite remember that. So I said we have to change the narrative. We should be apologizing to.
Yeah, because we expect our children, when our children do something wrong, what do we say? What do you say? What did you do wrong? You know, like we're making them apologize to us for being disrespectful or being disobedient, but we don't apologize to them when we were maybe having a bad day and we responded in a way that we shouldn't have responded. You know, and then I have to go back to my child and say, you know what, I apologize. I'm sorry for talking like that. I was just frustrated. I shouldn't have said that, you know, and it helps, like we said, continue to cultivate that a place of grace and understanding, forgiveness and grace and all of that in the household. Because a lot of y'all adults now, your mamas, y'all mad now because you like daddy didn't apologize, mama didn't apologize, nobody in my family apologized. Folks sweep stuff under the rug and act like it never happened. And we come into family reunions now, still mad, just done this and you didn't even say nothing, and you know, and we don't want to cultivate that in our children to where they grow up to be adults who cannot admit when they're wrong and humble themselves and correct things so that people can heal. You need closure, and your children need closure.
Yes, as adults, I've noticed, even in our families, you know, you fall out with your sister, your brother, or something. No one ever apologized. You just show up to the next family function like everything's okay. But no, that's not okay because you hurt me. You know, you didn't handle that right. And so I always instill to my children, you need to go apologize, you know, and then as adults, the kids deserve those apologies, you know, so that don't know how to react when someone else apologizes to them because their parents apologize to them, right? This won't be foreign to them.
Right. And I think that also kind of can connect to the unforgiveness aspect, because if we don't receive apologies and it goes on and on and on and on, we build that, well, I'm not going to forgive them because they never apologize. And even if they do apologize, then your pride won't let you forgive them because it took them so long to apologize. And I think if we learn how to apologize quicker, we can learn to also forgive quicker. It's just like a battle of pride, a battle of control, you know, that we create. And so, we need to cultivate that in our kids by leading by example.
Yep. Never too big.
Never too big, never too big. I think another one of my don'ts will be, don't dwell on your mistakes as a mom. Because if you constantly talk about and think about all the things you've done wrong, it really starts to bring you down and decrease your quality as a mom, because you're meditating so much on your mistakes that you become more insecure. You start to beat yourself up more, and then you cannot model what you need to model for your children, and you can't be there for them emotionally like you need to be there for them, because you keep acting like you're a failure, are becoming afraid to fail, and parenting out of fear and wanting them to be perfect. And you really have to address yourself and say, why do I feel this pressure to be perfect? And am I imposing that pressure on my children because of my own brokenness? Why do I think I can even achieve a level of perfection? Because I find that when we're perfectionist parents, we become that way with our children, and we obsess over everything they do and want them to be perfect. And it's not possible. It's not possible for us to be perfect, and it's not possible for them to be perfect. Then you have those children who like, I can't wait to get out of this house. Look, because my mama crazy. She won't let me do anything. I'm always messing up, and I can't do anything right. So don't dwell on your mistakes. Celebrate your victories and recover quickly. You may feel bad and down about your mistake or your mom guilt moment, but you have to rebound and get back on your post so that you can continue to be the mom that you need to be.
I have one more don't. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
As a parent, as a mother, my don't would be, don't compare your parenting to another person's parenting.
Yes.
Because like I said earlier, you're only seeing the highlight reel. We're not posting that my daughter made a huge mistake today, and you're not seeing that, right? And so it's easy to get into comparison, and you get jealous, you get envious of how good their parenting is going, and when in all actuality it's really not so perfect, right? And so you have to remind yourself, don't compare your parenting to another parenting, because what works for your child does not always work for the next family.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I remember feeling that way as a young mom, with the moms who would make the cute little sandwiches and lunches, and look, my child gonna get this Lunchable, and she's gonna get a bag of grapes and some carrot sticks. I mean, there's other moms over here cutting out sandwiches, and I was just like, oh, I'm just like, my child's being raised on Lunchables, and they have a whole little gourmet lunch over here. I would feel so bad, but I was doing my best.
Yes.
I was doing my best because I was in school, and I was doing my best. And as long as I knew that was my best, I had to be content with that and understand that that is great, but the flower shaped sandwich is not going to ruin my child's life. Not having the flower shaped sandwich is going to be okay. Like, she'll survive from that. And if you can do that, wonderful. But if you can't, like, don't beat yourself up. Like you said, don't compare. And as pastors, we're always in this tug of war with wanting to make sure that we don't pour into other people and help other people, and then end up our children feeling neglected.
Yep.
And so how do you deal with that as a pastor, trying to balance the many demands that we have and the kind of unpredictable, like, you can schedule to a certain degree, but as pastors, you do have those emergencies and you do have things that come up. So how do you balance, for those who are in ministry, as a mom, and making sure your house is in order, and then you have your career, and then you have your church? Like, how do you keep them not going crazy?
What I do is I maximize my time. So all the time I have at home with our kids, I try to be present at all their things. However, I remind them that they are first. Like, family is my first ministry. I love our church, however, but if my kids need me, I gotta be where my kids are, right? Not saying I'm gonna miss my obligations. If I schedule to do something, I'm gonna do it. However, I need to make sure that I'm being a mom first, right, to my kids, because if I'm not healthy I can't real well there if I can't take care of home, right? And so I let my kids know, my family know that they're first, but they know that ministry is important, though. That ministry is important. That's what we do. That's what we're called to do. So we're going to do it. And so I make sure that they're active in ministry. And it's not one of those things where I don't have to force them. They know Bible studies. They know Sunday. They know, like, my daughter, she scheduled her work schedule around church because she knows that's what we do. That's who we are. Ministry is who we are. And so we have a program coming up. She's like, okay, Mom, I'm going to go ahead and take off. I didn't have to tell her. I didn't even necessarily need her to be there. But she's like, hey, that's ministry. That's what we do. That's what we're called to do. I love it. And so I let them know that, what you make happen for somebody else, God will make happen for you. And so we, as our family, we make sure our people in our ministry, that we're taking care of them, all that we can, that we're being there for them, because we want God to instill his blessings on us as well. So I do my best to balance it, but my kids know that they are first, that I'm not going to miss their stuff if I can avoid it. And if I can't make it, I'll make sure you have a representative there. Someone, a familiar face, somebody's going to be there cheering you on. You're not going to be there by yourself, wherever it is, because kids need that. They need to see a face in the place.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, ministry is a family call. Mm-hmm. And that's why sometimes the children can grow up resented, because they feel like I didn't have a choice in the matter. I was thrown into this. Mm-hmm. But it's really, like you said, about communicating and teaching them the importance of serving and loving in ministry, and not feeling like they have to sacrifice their entire lives to the church. But like you said, you're priority number one. I'm always going to make sure that you feel loved, that you feel supported, that you are being poured into, that I'm helping you cultivate your relationship with Christ. But then we also, as a family, have this calling for this church, and we have to value that call from God as well. And so them understanding that this is a call from God. This isn't something we just chose to do for fun because we thought, let's start a church, Nah. And so I absolutely love that your kids, understand it so much so that she is, making sure that she's present rather than trying to avoid it. So that really is a testament to the type of household that you all have and the culture you have in your ministry, to where your teenager is saying, hey, I want to be there. I know I don't have to be there, but I want to be there. And that having a representative, yes, I can't count how many times my parents, my mother and father in love have stepped in to take a child to the game, or take a child to practice or something, because we had something at the church. So you need a village. If you're in ministry, this is not something you can do alone. You need a village. You need your family members, or you need close friends that you trust that can help you continue to pour love on your children, so that they don't feel that they're missing out because you're pastoring or because you are serving in ministry. So absolutely have a representative there, so they know they can look up and they say, I see you, boy. Right. I see you. Go,
girl. Somebody gonna be there.
Somebody gonna be yelling your name. Oh man, this was such a great conversation. And I hate that we have to wrap it up, but I'm trying to make sure I keep these things short enough for people to listen. But you guys, I love the women that, God has given me to bring into this podcast. And I just enjoy chatting with you all about different things. And I love connecting with like-minded people. But as we close, can you give a word of encouragement to the new moms who are beating themselves up over their lack of perfection?
Sure, absolutely. I would just say, just be mindful that sometimes as a mom, you are going to not get it right. You're going to have crappy moments. There are going to be moments where you're disappointed in yourself, or you're disappointed with other people, right? And so you have to trust the process. Trust that, this is just a small moment of the life, right? And so you can make the adjustments, you can fix it, you can get it right as much as you can. However, just be mindful that you are not the only one. Many mothers, many other people have been exactly where you are before, but it's okay to make the adjustments and move on. Just know that you will trust God through the process, and you seek the Lord through whatever you're dealing with as far as parenting as a mother, because it's not an easy road. It gets difficult. You have many highs, you have many lows, but if you trust God, He'll see you through it all. And I just want to encourage you as a mother, seek friends that can help you along the way, safe place, someone that you can talk to as well. Kids need a safe place, and mothers need a safe place too, as well. So make sure you have a safe place, and so you're not just holding everything in, because if we're honest, mothers, you deal with loneliness. You can be married and still be lonely as a mother, right? You can deal with depression and stress and all these things, because men are a little bit different. They deal with stress comes and it kind of rolls off their back a lot of times. Yeah. And so women, you have to make sure that you're releasing it. And I encourage all mothers, I believe in Jesus and therapy, right? And so have that outlet. You've got to have it. And just make sure that you are keeping your family safe as you can, letting them know that you love them. with all your heart, but you have to have that outlet because it's not easy being a mother. There's no cookie cutter way to do it. No. Just do it the best way you can, but seek the Lord through it all.
I love it. That was perfect. Jesus and therapy. Yes. I always tell people, I say, you need to go to the altar and throw up, get your deliverance in, and then go lay on the couch.
Absolutely.
Get that therapy in too.
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of times you don't realize how much baggage you have until you become a mother. Mm-hmm. And you start seeing that hurt and the bad habits manifesting in your parenting. Mm-hmm. And so, you have to find a support system, find some places where you can share and some people that you trust that are going to give you wisdom and also encourage you and help you to bounce back from those tough times and from that mom guilt. Free yourself from the need to be perfect. It's not coming. I'm telling you, that train ain't coming. You're going to be sitting there at the station waiting for perfection to arrive and it won't show up. Right. You will mess up. But I promise you, God is so good that he allows all things to work together for our good. You know, that's what it says in Romans 8:28. So even your mess ups, God can make it work out for your child's good. So you don't need to be God. Just be a mom. Love your child the best way you can. Educate yourself. Get around people that are going to teach you and let God do the rest. One sows the seed, one waters, and God adds the increase. Let him add the increase to your child's life. You cannot be God to your child. You can only be mom. Right. And that means you have some deficiencies. So, ladies, I pray that something that was said today empowered, encouraged, enrich your life in some way. There was so much great information that was shared. And so I want you to really take that in and allow it to heal your heart and help you to move forward as a mom. Lady Tiff, how can people connect with you on social media?
You can connect with me on Facebook under Tiffany Kirkwood. I'm also on Instagram as Mrs. T Wood. And so I'm also on Twitter too as T Wood 98. I said T Wood is kind of like my alter ego. I mean, Twitter is kind of like, I feel like I just say whatever on there. I mean, in good taste though. So Twitter is over there. I'm just chatting and talking over there, but you can definitely find me there, and I promise I'll interact with you on social.
Wonderful. Yes, connect with Lady Tiff. She is an amazing mom, an amazing woman of God, and just a generally sweet, sweet spirit. So definitely connect with her. And I just thank you once again, Lady Tiff, for taking the time to be on this podcast and to pour into the moms. I know that some lives were changed and some perspectives were changed through your openness and your transparency and your wisdom. For all of you who are my faithful P Square Squad, thank you once again for tuning in for this broadcast. Don't forget to share this, invite some people to watch it. And if you're new to the family, welcome to the squad. Welcome home. I hope that you enjoy the journey that we're on becoming stronger and more courageous women of God. If you haven't already, make sure that you stay connected by several ways. First, you can go subscribe to my YouTube channel at Cherie Eddington. It's called Cherie Eddington. I'm going to be putting more content on there. I'm going to start doing some live broadcasts on there. I'm going to do some challenges with my kids on this channel. So make sure you're subscribed. Also, follow the Pretty and Powerful podcast on Spotify, Audio Boom, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And lastly, to connect with me personally, connect with me via Facebook or IG at I am Cherie Eddington. And as always, don't forget you have the right to be both pretty and powerful. So don't just walk in it, honey. Strut in it. I will see you next Tuesday. Bye.